Hello and welcome. I'm Pranay Upadhyay and you are watching World Today. We are beginning this bulletin with a breaking news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has concluded his meeting with King Charles III. With this meeting and signing off historic India-UK FTA deal, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on his state visit to Maldives, where he will be the guest of honor for the 60th Independence Day of Maldives. You can see the visuals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a call-on meeting with King Charles III, the British monarch, and during this meeting, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also presented a special gift for the king. Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave him a sapling of handkerchief tree or the Sanoma dove tree as mark of Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. That is a special gift Prime Minister Narendra Modi carried with him during his meeting with King Charles III. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a meeting with King Charles III and gave him this sapling as well. King Charles III is an India-philic. He loves India, he has been to India, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi made sure that he pays a courtesy call to King Charles III before concluding his UK visit, which is a very historic visit. So with these visuals, now let's talk and dissect the India-UK historic free trade agreement, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit is historic in the terms of signing of this agreement, this historic India-UK free trade agreement during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's fourth visit to United Kingdom. This deal gives 99% of Indian exports exemptions from duty, aiming doubling the bilateral trade by $120 billion till say about 2030. That is the ambitious target set during this FTA agreement. So it is United Kingdom's biggest trade deal since Brexit and will benefit both UK and Indian manufacturers and also boost the it will not only boost the both economies but also generate jobs, with expert presiding a boost of over $34 billion worth of trade between India and United Kingdom annually. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also emphatically took up the issue of economic fugitives hiding in United Kingdom and also the issue of terrorists and separatists like the Khalistanis exploiting the democratic processes and freedoms available in UK. Lavina Tandon reports more.
India and UK ink the landmark free trade agreement in London, a deal that will transform the economies of both the countries.
आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है.
It is a deal that will bring huge benefits to both of our countries.
The FTA with India is the UK's most significant bilateral deal since Brexit. The deal signed on Thursday will benefit 99% of Indian exports by removing tariffs. Officials estimate it could boost bilateral trade by over $34 billion annually.
इस समझौते के साथ ही डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन पर भी सहमति बनी है. इससे दोनों के सर्विस सेक्टर, विशेषकर टेक्नोलॉजी और फाइनेंस के उसको एक नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी. ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को गति मिलेगी. कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस घटेगा और कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ेगा.
Boosting wages, raising living standards, and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier.
The key features include zero duty market access to Indian exporters in textiles and garments. It will help in dismantling export duty disadvantages, boost competitiveness, aid growth in garments and handicraft sectors, and help close the gap with exports from China and Bangladesh. Prime Minister Modi also raised the extradition of alleged scamsters who have taken refuge in the UK.
इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी.
India called for the action against Khalistani extremists.
Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account.
Prime Minister Modi also reiterated India's fight against terror.
हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है.
Both leaders unveiled the UK-India Vision 2035 to deepen cooperation in a rapidly evolving global landscape. But back home, the Congress hit out, saying India doesn't just need free trade, but the return of economic fugitives like Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi and Lalit Modi. Earlier on his arrival in the UK, Prime Minister was greeted warmly by the Indian diaspora.
मुझे देखना था मोदी जी को देख लिया छू भी लिया इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
The trade deal between India and UK is expected to increase bilateral trade to $120 billion by 2030. Bureau Report, India Today.
And now to discuss further in great details the India-UK FTA deal, I am being joined by Lord Rami Ranger, who's the member of House of Lords in UK. Welcome to World Today, Lord Ranger. And my first question to you would be, given your long-standing advocacy for the stronger UK-India ties, do you believe this FTA signed today will adequately reflect India's economic interests, or the British priorities are still disproportionately shaping the framework?
You know, this FTA has a very big deal. It's a big deal for both the countries because India is a number 4 and Britain is number 5 economies of the world. Given the size of India's market, it's a huge. British economy is not growing as fast as that of India. So by plugging into India's growth, Britain can pull itself out of the sluggish growth it is experiencing now. Besides, when you are no longer member of the European community, you need more trading partners, and there is no better partner than India, sharing same values, secular democracy, rule of law at the heart of governance. So the both countries have same values, and they aspire for the same thing, empowering their citizens. They are not country like China, which control people. So there is a close relationship with each other going back 200 years. English is a official language in India. So there's a pool of high caliber workforce in India, which is already running blue chip company in the world. And British industry will be able to recruit those people at a fraction of the cost. And if the production was to move to India, then it'll be even more win-win situation.
Lord Ranger, we know that this negotiation lasted for about 4 years, and this FTA negotiations have received the bipartisan support in UK. But the parliamentary approval is still pending. How soon can we expect this parliamentary approval?
Well, it is a very big need of the hour. We need to grow our economy in the United Kingdom. The interest of the United Kingdom comes first, political interests are later. So therefore, you know, in politics, there are no friends, there are strategic interests. So India offers them world security. India is a member of Quad already, which is a very big deal. India is a member of Commonwealth, is another big deal. And on top of that, India offers opportunities as no other country. I mean, this trade FTA is a mother of all trade. FTA, because it's not between small country and small country, it's between number 4 and 5. So therefore, it's a huge. Look at the amount of Scotch whiskey will be imported to India. Scotland economy will be quadrupled. So therefore, it's a very big deal, and the product moving from A to B without red tape, without tariffs and duties will give economic strength, and also consumer will benefit a lot. Because, you know, the product prices will come down and the consumer don't have to rely on Chinese cheap product. So therefore, it's a good thing.
Yeah, Lord Ranger, can you say with surety that this parliamentary approval can meet the Diwali deadline?
Well, I hope by the end of the year. You can send, yes, you can send me Diwali laddu now, and you can have that in the bag. You should feel very proud that a colony which was ruled by a master for 200 years has become equal today.
Yeah, definitely, Lord Ranger, this is a very significant development. But FTA is a document of trust and partnership. But the issue of economic fugitives, economic offenders, it is a very important issue for India, and including the issue of Khalistani elements present in UK. These issues are trust breakers. What are tangible action UK would be taking now?
Everything happens in stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So when the India and UK economic interest are linked, they have to then take extra. Unfortunately, this is a liberal democracy and people take advantage. But we have already made sure that they will not be given asylum in this country. But due process of the court has to go through. But India's case has to be it's a very robust case. So they will be extradited. So it's a matter of time. People are now beginning to understand. Most of the Khalistanis are, maybe the asylum seekers, they just want to abuse the immigration system by pretending. If they think India is such a bad country, then how come majority of the Sikhs live in India? How come there is no hue and cry? We'll make sure that those people who want Khalistan, they should go back to India.
Thank you very much, Lord Ranger, for talking to us and sharing all these details. We definitely hope that the UK takes tangible action in terms of deporting these Khalistani elements and also taking concrete action in terms of the economic offenders. But let's move on to another big and hot story, because US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is the new favorite of President Donald Trump, after she released documents implicating former President Barack Obama and members of his administration for attempting to sabotage the 2016 presidential elections. Trump lauded Gabbard for exposing and ascertaining his claims of rigging the election.
The Trump administration is fighting every controversy surrounding the president's close association with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But when Director of National Intelligence came with a slew of documents implicating former President Barack Obama of treason, Tulsi Gabbard became the hottest one in the room. Yes, this is exactly how President Trump lauded Director Gabbard for exposing Obama's involvement in the 2016 election.
Director of National Intelligence. Oh, where's Tulsi? She's like hotter than everybody. She's the hottest one in the room right now. Because she found out with certainty. I think we knew it before, in all fairness, Tulsi. But now you have certainty. She has all the documents. She has everything that you need. And she found out that Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people and they cheated in the elections. And they cheated without question. It's not even a question. Would you say there's even a little question there, Tulsi? She says no. And you found things that nobody thought we'd ever find. And very happy and very honored to have you with us. She's right now, by far, Speaker, she's hotter than you right now, Speaker. She's the hottest person in the room right now, Speaker. So, Tulsi, great job. And I know you have a lot more coming. She told me you've seen nothing yet.
Trump had always blamed Obama and members of his administration for trying to manipulate the 2016 presidential polls. Besides Obama, Trump blamed Hillary Clinton, former FBI Judge James Comey, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper of conspiracy.
No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden.
But many say that Tulsi Gabbard's release of documents is an attempt to build back her rapport with the president. Gabbard had earlier testified before the Congress that Iran was not building nuclear weapons, a claim that Trump had said was wrong. The director, however, later said that Iran could produce nuclear weapons within weeks. When Tulsi Gabbard was confronted on whether the release of documents was a mere tactic to boost her standing with President Trump following her testimony to the Congress on Iran's nuclear weapons, she was defended by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
I think, who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working. I will just answer your question question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this president made.
The timing of the release of the documents coincide with the growing clamor amongst the vast political circle and among many MAGA supporters to come clean on the Jeffrey Epstein case. Bureau Report, India Today.
President Donald Trump might be trying to turn heat on his predecessor Barack Obama, but problems for him seem far from getting over. In a twist to the Jeffrey Epstein case, sources claim that US Attorney General Pam Bondi had told President Donald Trump that his name appeared in the files. During a routine briefing, Bondi informed about the review of Epstein documents by the Department of Justice. She said many other high-profile names were also in document, but there was no evidence of any client list. But Trump's mention in the document does not mean that he was linked to the late sex offender. The fact that the Bondi informed Trump about this in May was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. And meanwhile, a federal judge denied the Department of Justice's request to unseal the grand jury transcript of the Epstein case. There has been a clamor among the political circles and many MAGA supporters to come clean on Epstein issue. A memo released by FBI and the Department of Justice said there was no evidence of a client list and that Epstein had died by suicide. But this is in contrast to what Pam Bondi had earlier said in an interview, that the client list was sitting on her desk now. Moving on to another story coming from the United States. Columbia University said that if they will pay around $200 million to the United States government in a settlement for President Donald Trump's administration to resolve the federal problems and have most of its suspended federal funding restored. Trump has targeted several universities since returning to office in January over the pro-Palestinian student protest movement that roiled college campuses last year. He welcomed the agreement. In March, President Donald Trump and his administration said that it was penalizing the Columbia over it handled the last year's protest by cancelling $400 million in federal funding. It contended that the Columbia's response to alleged anti-Semitism and harassment of Jewish and Israeli members of the university community was insufficient. Columbia said it also agreed to settle the investigation brought by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for $21 million and that its deal with the Trump administration has preserved its autonomy and authority over the faculty hiring, admissions, and academic decision-making. Now let's talk about the Gaza issue, because the acute hunger crisis in Gaza has led to death and malnutrition. As Israel pounds Gaza and access to aid becomes difficult. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros said that the crisis is a man-made mass starvation caused by the blockade of aid. Here is a report.
As aid agencies warn of hunger gripping the Gazans, the World Health Organization chief Tedros said it is a man-made mass starvation.
As you know, mass starvation means starvation of a large proportion of a population. And a large proportion of a population of Gaza is starving. I don't know what you would call it other than mass starvation. And it's man-made. And that's very clear. And this is because of blockade. And I have said it in my statement, more than 80 days of blockade straight. And then, of course, there is opening now, but it's not enough. It's just a trickle, and people are starving.
Tedros has demanded for the full access to the aid, which includes food, clean water, and medical supplies. Gaza's food stocks have run out since Israel, which is at war with Palestinian militant group Hamas since October 2023, cut off all supplies to the territory in March to lift it later in May. But Israel blames Hamas for this man-made shortage.
Today, there is no famine caused by Israel. There is, however, a man-made shortage engineered by Hamas. Now, too often, the full story is not being told. This suffering exists because Hamas has created it. The suffering exists because Hamas has made it so.
The death toll from starvation has reached to 111. The WHO said the deadly surge in malnutrition has caused the deaths of at least 21 children in 2025, but stressed those figures are likely the tip of the iceberg.
What is happening in Gaza, it's not a natural famine. It is a man-made starvation caused by the ongoing Israeli blockade and restricted humanitarian access. The situation is extremely dangerous and worsening by the day. It is an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe.
According to WHO, centers for treating malnutrition are full without sufficient supplies for emergency feeding. The hunger crisis has been compounded by the collapse of aid pipelines and restrictions on access. As per WHO's representative for Palestine, in July alone, 5,100 children have been admitted to malnutrition programs, including 800 who were severely emaciated. Bureau Report, India Today.
From the conflict zone of Gaza and Israel, let's move on to another conflict zone story because the big story coming from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Protesters have gathered in Kiev for a second day in a first wave of major anti-government demonstrations in Ukraine since the start of war. They are opposing a controversial new law that critics say undermines the anti-corruption efforts. Demonstrators have rallied against the bill 12414, which shifts control of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine and specialized the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office to the Prosecutor General, a position appointed by the government. Critics argue that this move jeopardizes the independence of key anti-corruption institutions. The legislation, signed into law by President Volodymyr Zelensky, has drawn sharp criticism from the European allies. In response to the growing backlash, President Zelensky has said that his administration would introduce a new anti-corruption plan soon, though the details remain unclear. Now let's talk about another big story because French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife has filed a lawsuit, defamation suit in a US court against the right-wing influencer and podcaster Candace Owens. Candace Owens, a podcaster in the United States, has criticized the First Lady of France. The Macrons have complained and filed a lawsuit in a Delaware Superior Court saying that the Owens has waged a lie-filled campaign of global humiliation to promote her podcast and expand her franchised fan base. In her podcast, Owens said that the lawsuit was part of an obvious and a desperate public relations strategy to smear her character. Owens also said that she did not know a lawsuit was coming, though lawyers for both sides had been communicating since January. A spokesperson for Owens called the lawsuit itself an effort to bully her after Brigitte Macron, wife of French President Emmanuel Macron, rejected Owens' repeated request for an interview. In a joint statement released by their lawyers, the Macrons said that they sued after Owens rejected 3 demands that she retract her defamatory statements. In September, Brigitte Macron won a lawsuit in a French court against 2 women, including a self-described medium who contributed spreading rumors about her gender. An appeal court overturned the decision that month, and Brigitte Macron has appealed to France, the highest French court.